Nothing wrong with a healthy neighborly rivalry, right? Who's got the best yard? Who passes out the best candy at Halloween? Who puts up the brightest Christmas lights around the house each year? But there's another competition afoot, and it's based in major FOMO. If you're going to Disney World next year, whose trip is going to be the one coming up on top? Spoiler alert, it's totally yours. Hey everybody, it's AJ for Disney Food Blog, and I'm here to tell you why your upcoming Disney World trip is gonna knock the socks off your neighbor's trip. No offense to your neighbor or anything, but you've got the upper hand here. How? Let me show ya. First and foremost, you know everything you need to know, and you've managed your crowd expectations. Crowds are back and bigger than ever. That means you need to be prepared for some intense crowds during peak times, like summer vacation, spring break, Christmas season. You also need to be aware of those random crowd spikes that'll happen throughout the year. A few of these include Run Disney events that occur multiple different weekends throughout the year. Jersey Week, that occurs during the first week of November. This is when the schools in New Jersey take a few extra days off, which can cause those Disney crowds to surge. The Pop Warner Super Bowl and National Cheer and Dance Championships, that occurs during the first or second week of December each year. And like any holiday that gives businesses and schools an extra day or two off, like Veterans Day or Labor Day weekends. Now you've got two options here. You can either A, avoid these times and go during non-peak times, like the middle of the week during January, February, or September, or you can plan around those crowds and still have a grand old time in the parks. And by plan, I mean plan in advance to help manage these crowds. Book hard to snag dining reservations 60 days before your trip. Reserve your Disney resort even earlier than that, and remember to make those park pass reservations for the parks you're wanting to visit right after purchasing your tickets. Download the free version of Disney Genie, that's part of the My Disney Experience app, to help you create an itinerary to work your way around the masses and break up those park days if possible so you can escape the crowds for a bit as needed. If your neighbor's one of those fly by the seat of their pants type of people, you'll definitely have the upper hand already. Okay, second reason that you are going to have an amazing trip compared to everybody else in your hometown, you've practiced ahead of time. Disney is not for the faint of heart. You know this by now watching these videos. You got to build up endurance for these parks. They require a lot of walking, a lot of standing, and a lot of super hot days that can wear you down. Hopefully your neighbor schedules in a daily walk around the neighborhood to prepare for this vacation, but if they haven't, then you still totally should. Whether it be walking the treadmill at the gym, taking stairs at work instead of the elevator, or just getting your steps in around your local mall. Create some sort of walking routine to prepare for those long 20,000 odd step days. While you're at it, break in those park shoes. Even the shoes we recommend often on this channel, like Tevas, Crocs, Chacos, can be miserable to wear around Disney World if they're brand spanking new. They start to rub in all the weird places on your feet, and your feet just aren't used to them. So take these scheduled walking opportunities to test the waters with your new kicks and make sure they'll be reliable companions for you on your trip. Don't forget to break in 2 pairs of shoes. If you start getting a blister with one of them, then you can always switch to the other so they're not rubbing in the same places. Believe me, I have been there a million times. Definitely break in 2 pairs of shoes. Also, carry around potential park bags during your local shopping trips or other various outings pre-Disney. Just like shoes, backpacks, and purses need to be tested to make sure they'll be comfortable throughout the Disney day. You don't want your bags cutting into your shoulders or giving you back issues while walking around the parks, so breaking them in as a must. And also knowing where's your water bottle going to fit so you can grab it really easily and really quickly. Do you have enough pockets for everything you're going to need to bring? Where are you going to put your phone so you can grab it super fast when you need to? Etc., etc. All right, third reason why your trip's going to be better, you've studied up and are familiar with My Disney Experience. The My Disney Experience, I guess, offering, we'll call it. It's not just a nice little app that helps you here and there during your vacation. At this point, it's a necessity. This is where you'll make mobile orders, access Disney Genie, preview PhotoPass photos, do online check-in for your hotel, jump into virtual queues, and even keep hold of your theme park tickets and park pass reservations. And that's only the main gist of the app. There are plenty of other things My Disney Experience does to help you navigate your vacation that you'll need to study up on ahead of time. And believe me, Disney requires it these days. They're making a major move towards making sure everything is mobile, everything's on your phone, and so everything's in My Disney Experience. So if your neighbor's not very tech savvy, let's just hope they're traveling with someone who is. As long as at least one person in your travel party can work their way around the app, your group should be good to go. although that does leave a lot of pressure on just one person, so it's probably best that multiple folks are familiar with the My Disney Experience app. This is especially important in case the main tech navigator's phone starts to act up or loses battery. Gotta have a backup plan just in case. Number 4 on our list of why your trip's going to be better than everybody else's, you've determined whether you need Disney Genie Plus and or fancy ride selections. Hopefully you and your neighbor have been keeping up with all the new Disney Genie info. Disney Genie Plus is the new Fast Pass-like system that allows you to select rides you want to bypass the main line for and enter a shorter line called a lightning lane. The main difference between Disney Genie Plus and Fast Pass? Disney Genie Plus comes at a price, $15, and doesn't include premium, or as we like to call them, fancy, rides. To book lightning lanes for fancy rides like Rise of the Resistance in Disney's Hollywood Studios, Remy's Ratatouille Adventure in Epcot, Seven Dwarfs Mine Train in Magic Kingdom, Flight of Passage in Animal Kingdom, etc., you'll have to pay a separate price for those individual attraction selections. Prices for this option varies by ride and by day, but usually these fancy rides range in price between $10 and $15 per person. Now, this new system can be really intimidating when you first use it, so this is going to be another aspect of your trip you'll need to study up on ahead of time. Disney Genie, at its most basic, non-plus form, is a free service you can download whenever. The free parts of Disney Genie help you to build an itinerary specific to your travel party's must-do attractions and create a game plan to maximize your time in the parks. So even if you decide you're not going to splurge on the Disney Genie Plus or individual attraction selections, you can still download the complimentary version of Disney Genie and still get tips and tricks on how to navigate the parks. If your travel party is big on the rides and you're planning on visiting during one of those peak crowd times I mentioned earlier, then you may want to consider making the Disney Genie Plus or fancy ride purchases. But if you're still on the fence about forking over all that cash, definitely watch our DFB videos where we test out the system in the parks for you ahead of time. Okay, next reason why your trip is going to be awesome compared to everybody else on your Facebook group, you know which hotel is best for you. You don't just want to pick any old resort willy-nilly, and you certainly don't want to go with everybody's recommendations on the Facebook group because Susan's only stayed in one hotel, so Susan's going to say that's the best hotel, right? Right. And you'd rather take advice from people who stayed at every hotel. Now, each Disney resort, which is what they call their hotels, have similar aspects. They all give you a place to crash each night. They give you a pool to swim in during those hot summer days. They give you a selection of dining options. But that doesn't mean every hotel is one size fits all. Value resorts like Disney's Art of Animation, Pop Century, Disney's All-Star Music, All-Star Movies, those are the most affordable of the hotel options on property, which means in Disney World. They feature bright, bold colors, larger-than-life characters. They're great for kids and great for families who'd rather spend the extra money on extra park tickets or Disney Genie Plus or signature dinners or souvenirs than on their hotel. Moderate resorts like Disney's Coronado Springs, Disney's Port Orleans Riverside and French Quarter, and Disney's Caribbean Beach Resort are a cozy middle ground between value and deluxe resorts. So these categories, in case you hadn't noticed, are based on price tags. So these are moderately priced resorts, at least for Disney-owned hotels. Now this is more of your, I want to stay somewhere nice, but I don't want to drain my bank account option. And deluxe resorts like Disney's Polynesian Village, Disney's Contemporary, Grand Floridian, and several others are for those looking for a romantic getaway, luxury experience, or just flat out plan on spending more time around their hotel room rather than inside the parks. If your neighbor's not careful, they're bound to book a room without considering other important factors. They're probably just going to go stay where Susan told them to stay. They're not going to think about cost, proximity to the parks. Can you walk to the parks? Transportation methods, dining options, and overall theming. But you will not be caught off guard, especially if you take some time beforehand to check out the DFB rankings of every hotel on Disney World property. We've got a video that breaks down each factor for each hotel to help you determine which place you want to call your home away from home during your vacation. We're going to make sure you get the best bang for your budget buck on this one, so go watch that video next. Number 6 on our list of why your trip's going to be better than your neighbors is that you know what transportation is available to you. Now, we hate to keep assuming things about your neighbor, but here's hoping they know about what complimentary transportation is available at their hotel ahead of time, just like you will. Instead of learning what complimentary transportation is available when you get there, you're going to know ahead of time if your resort offers bus or Skyliner or boat or monorail transportation. In fact, you probably knew that stuff before you decided if you were going to stay there. I don't know if your neighbor knows that Disney World is huge. It's the size of 2 Manhattan islands. It's ginormous. And so, yeah, you can't just walk to all the parks from your hotel, Susan. You have to take transportation and you have to think about the best options because time is money in Disney World. Now, some hotels like Disney's Coronado Springs and All Star Music only have bus service available to the parks. So you'll have to plan around those early morning and late night crowds trying to get to and from the parks by bus. Hotels also have different ways they approach their bus systems. Coronado Springs has an internal bus loop, meaning there are multiple stops around the hotel property that the buses are required to hit, including yours. These types of bus loops are reserved for the really spread out hotels so that guests staying way far away from the hotel lobby don't have to make the long trek to the front every single day to get the bus stop. That being said, internal bus loops are often more hectic than hotels that just have one bus stop, like Disney's All-Star Resorts, because they take more time to get to you, and by the time they do get to you, the bus may already be filled with people from the other stops before yours. So yeah, knowing about this ahead of time will help you plan to get to those stops early, or you can always wave that white flag and order a rideshare service instead for an extra cost. Hotels that have multiple transportation options can be pretty great. Art of Animation, Caribbean Beach, Riviera, those are a few of the main hotel options along the Disney Skyliner route. The Skyliner will take you over to Epcot and Disney's Hollywood Studios by Sky Gondola. Mostly this system is great and speedy, but it also has its sluggish times where end-of-the-day crowds are clogging up the system. So you might want to hang tight in the park for a bit after the park closes to wait for those initial crowds to die down. Also, keep an eye on the weather. If there are big storms or heavy rain, the Skyliner's not going to run, and you're going to be stuck with buses. So be aware of that and plan ahead. But don't worry, you won't be locked into the park, although a part of you probably wishes that would happen. Disney Parks' main stores remain open after closing to accommodate those who are buying last-minute gifts, so you can linger and do a little more shopping or browsing while you're at it. Now, boat transportation is also available at some hotels. In fact, Port Orleans, Riverside, and French Quarter resorts have a special boat that takes guests directly to Disney Springs. Boat rides can take a bit, though, so if you don't mind a relaxing little ride across the water, then try one of the boats, but don't expect to get anywhere in a super speedy manner with those. And then, of course, you've got the monorail hotels like Polynesian Village, Contemporary, Grand Floridian. These are the super expensive hotels in Disney World. And the monorail is another extremely nifty mode of transportation that delivers you right to Magic Kingdom from that monorail loop. But as nifty as it might be, it still falls victim to early morning and late night crowds. If you're staying at those deluxe hotels, you'll have the early theme park entry and extended evening hours at your disposal. Now, early theme park entry is available for all Disney resort guests, meaning everybody who's staying in a Disney-owned hotel gets early theme park entry, and also Good Neighbor hotels. And that allows you to enter the parks on any day 30 minutes before the park's official opening, whereas the extended evening hours are only available for deluxe hotel guests on select evenings. So those are the most expensive hotels, so you only get to stay late at the parks if you're paying the most for your hotel rooms. Extended hours allow guests to stay and play in the parks after the parks close to everyone else. So these little resort perks could help tremendously as you're planning ahead for when you need to head to your hotel's transportation stations. Okay, the next reason why your trip's going to be better than everybody else's, you've saved back some extra cash for potential splurges. I know, budget, right? And it's always a cause of stress and anxiety for people when they go to Disney World because it's so expensive. Well, your neighbor may be able to budget for a Disney vacation, but are they going to know they need to save back a little more just in case? Because you will. Not only do prices tend to increase around the parks year after year, but when you're finally at Disney World, you're going to stumble across a snack or a piece of merchandise you weren't expecting to fall in love with that you've just got to have, or your kids will. So plan to save back at least an extra $100 for these unexpected expenses. That way you won't be in the hole after a certain splurge or surprise price bump at one too many restaurants. Plan on bringing cash or loading gift cards to help you visualize your extra spending. It can get kind of dangerous to spend money with your debit and credit cards when one swipe is all it takes to secure those purchases. And another reason that your trip's going to be better than everybody on your Facebook group is that you know that Disney is more than just its parks. Sure, Disney's got their Fantastic Four, Magic Kingdom, Epcot, Hollywood Studios, and Animal Kingdom, but Disney World holds more than just its theme parks. I've already mentioned that Disney World is ginormous, and I've already mentioned the hotels, but those hotels can be more than just a place to rest your head. Depending on where you stay, you can take part in several different recreational activities, including tie-dyeing sessions, morning yoga classes, professional painting workshops, and movie nights. You've also got Disney Springs, which is Disney World's shopping district, but similar to the hotels, Disney Springs is more than just its shops. This district also offers up lots of top-notch restaurants. In fact, it has the best restaurants in Disney World. A few of my faves include Wine Bar George, Chef Art Smith's Homecoming, Raglan Road, Morimoto. Disney Springs also has different entertainment options like their AMC theaters, Splitsville, Luxury Lanes Bowling, Aerophile balloon rides, and the all-new Cirque du Soleil Drawn to Life show. What else does Disney World property contain? Golf courses, both pro and mini, and water parks, of course. Currently only Disney's Blizzard Beach is open and operating, but Typhoon Lagoon will hopefully reopen at a later time, bringing the property back up to its 2 water parks once more. Sure, your neighbor knows about the parks, but you'll add an extra bit of magic in your trip by taking advantage of these extra Disney World offerings too. The next reason why your Disney World trip is going to be a lot better than your neighbors, and this is a big one, you know everything you need to know so that you're not just following along with the crowds. Is your neighbor a leader or a follower? What you're going to be on your Disney vacation is someone who thinks ahead and doesn't simply follow the masses. What do I mean by that? Well, here's a common scenario for you. You're at the front of the park getting ready to scan your park ticket. If you're at the park at the very beginning of the day, you're going to experience a lot of people all ready to scan their tickets too. And although there are several different lines you can jump into to scan your ticket, so often guests flock into the nearest and longest line, even though a line that's half the length is waiting for you to jump in just a few rows down. And when you enter the parks, don't hit up the first ride you see. Yes, Spaceship Earth is hard to walk past because she's a beaut, but rides like Test Track and Frozen Ever After can be hit first before the rest of the crowd start filling in, since their wait times throughout the day will be way higher than Spaceship Earth's will ever get. Don't jump into lines regardless of length and high wait times. Sometimes the less popular Disney rides experience these random line surges too. Disney Genie will let you know when a certain ride is experiencing higher than usual wait times, but you can also learn about the average wait times for rides ahead of time by checking the My Disney Experience maps. The maps on the app show the current wait times for rides, and you can usually get a good sense of an average wait for certain rides by studying up on those ahead of time. But just as a quick rule of thumb, if you see an over 30-minute wait time for rides like Mad Hatter Tea Party in Magic Kingdom, Triceratops Spin in Disney's Animal Kingdom, Living with the Land in Epcot, and Alien Swirling Saucers in Hollywood Studios, wait it out a bit. Those crowds should die down, especially come evening time. Sometimes those ride wait times surge because another bigger ride has gone down or closed for rain or just isn't available. So just hold off a bit and those wait times should drop. I mentioned this briefly before, but I'll go ahead and say it again for this point too. Don't feel like you need to exit with the masses at the end of the park day. Linger in the park a little while longer while the stores stay open to wait out the hecticness of shoulder-to-shoulder crowds. Use that time to get some cool pictures or just people watch and avoid being part of the masses. All right, now this next one is my favorite one. Why? Because we're Disney Food Vlog. You are not going to be surprised by the food in either a good or a bad way, right? Your neighbor may be the pro baker of the neighborhood, but you've got a grasp on all things Disney dining. Much like a hotel, there are different restaurants around property, over 200 of them, and not every one of them is going to be the right fit for you. It's kind of like if you were planning to go to New York City for the first time and you had to figure out what the best restaurants were. Practically impossible, right? Well, don't worry. That's why we're here. That's why you're watching DFB Guide. We've eaten at all of them multiple times. We know what they're serving right now, and we can help you figure out what's going to be best for you and your family, what's going to fit your budget, what's going to fit your likes and dislikes, and what are the most reliable restaurants in Disney World. You've got your quick service and counter service, which are fast food restaurants, and those are for guests that need a speedy bite to eat before hopping on over to the next ride of the day. But you've also got your table service or signature restaurants. These are the sit sit-down restaurants. These are going to be nicer sit-down experiences, and they're going to cost more. And with these table and signature restaurants, you'll also find different menu types. Some menus have items individually priced, while others have a prefix price, meaning you have a price determined at the beginning of your meal, regardless of what appetizer, entree, and dessert you decide to order. And don't even get me started on those advanced dining reservations. Some restaurants are easy to get reservations for the day of your visit, but most of them do require that advance reservation 60 days out, especially if you're wanting to dine in a park. And just to be on the safe side, even if a restaurant you're wanting to hit up on your visit doesn't seem like a hot spot for most Disney guests, it's best to book it anyway, just in case. And what about snacks? Gotta know the ins and outs of all those salty and sweet options too. After all, not all snacks are created equal. You could stumble upon hidden ingredients you weren't expecting, like a hidden icing center in a cupcake, or a potentially sour flavor on something you thought was supposed to be super duper sweet. And when you're not expecting these flavors, they can come off as kind of weird. This happens more often than you or your neighbor may realize. Want to see for yourself? Check out my weirdest Disney World food ever video. It's strange in the best way possible, mostly. Now, if you or someone in your travel party has food allergies, then you'll also need to know about all the allergy menus and binders offered at the Disney restaurants that you can look at upon request. You can also check out gluten, egg, fish, milk, tree nut, and soy allergy-friendly selections on the menus ahead of time by checking them on the Disney website or on the My Disney Experience app. Not to mention, you got to be familiar with what's actually worth your time and money here. What restaurants are going to be up your alley? What restaurants are going to be skip-worthy? So how will you know about all of this ahead of time? Well, you've got us, like I said, and you'll have studied up on the DFB food reviews. We've got a playlist with all our food and restaurant reviews in one nice and tidy section of our YouTube channel that you can binge when you've got some spare planning time on your hands. Or if you prefer reading reviews, just go to our website, search the restaurant you're wanting to read a review for, and we'll have it all prepped and ready for you. We go to all the restaurants pretty much at least once a year. Sometimes we even go to some of them twice, especially if they're new. Because new restaurants always have a little settling in time where things change a lot over the first few months. Now, you're also going to want to study up on Disney's website and menus ahead of time. Even though a restaurant looks cool in our videos, or if I give it a glowing review, that doesn't necessarily mean it'll be the perfect option for your travel party too. Everyone's got different tastes. So watch some of our restaurant videos and look at the menus for yourself to decide if you want to add these Disney dining options to your itinerary. One final reason why your trip is going to blow your neighbors out of the water: you're going to keep up with the DFB team throughout the year, whether it be through this YouTube channel, our website, my newsletter, or the latest and greatest DFB guide. Or maybe all the above if you're really wanting the upper hand here. Okay, you know what? I feel kind of bad for your neighbor now. How about sharing the wealth a little and you guys can study up on your upcoming trip together? If you pre-order the DFB Guide to Walt Disney World Dining 2022 today, you'll also get a free instant download of the 2021 edition. Double the guides for double the planning. Just hop on over to dfbstore.com and reserve your copy today. And if you decide it's not everything you hoped and dreamed it would be, let me know within 30 days of your purchase and I'll give you a full refund. No questions asked. There's no reason to keep something that you don't love, right? Right. So there we go. This is why your trip is going to be awesome. It's going to be better than all the other trips of all the other families of the elementary school your kid goes to. It's going to be better than all the trips of the ladies in your book club and the people on your Facebook group and the other dads that you work with. It's going to be awesome, you guys. Don't worry. Don't stress. We got you. Thanks for listening and thanks for watching, everyone. As always, this is AJ for Disney Food Blog, and we'll see you real soon.